Hey guys, today I've got a review of Fast and Furious 6 for you. I'll keep it kind of spoiler free to start with, but it's probably going to be full of spoilers towards the end, and also it's probably going to have spoilers for the whole of the series, because I have a lot of feelings about this series apparently. I think you have to go into seeing these Fast and Furious movies with an acceptance of what you're going to get. It's not going to be masterpiece filmmaking. They are originally started from speed racing, and especially the first three films were mainly focused on the car races and girls being scantily clad. It's not highbrow, it's not going to be an Oscar winner, it's a good popcorn flick. But saying that, you do have certain expectations you have with these films by being a popcorn blockbuster and by being the Fast and Furious films. Overall, I like Fast and Furious 6, it's not my favourite. Fast 5 is my favourite. I'd probably say number 6 is my third, if we're doing all 6, so you know. Pretty high up there. Pros and cons, non-spoiler edition. Pros, team, so much team. I love things that they heavy bases on an ensemble cast with a lot of sort of family or teamness, things like that. It's one of the main reasons I like the Lord of the Rings films, the Star Trek films. I just love that team and how different characters interact with different parts of this team and the relationships that are formed, and yeah. So having all the different characters brought in from the Fast and Furious series into Fast 5 and then having them again in Fast and Furious 6, I just love seeing them again. I love seeing the relationships, not just Dom and Brian and Mia, but how Dom and Brian interact with the others, including Tej and Roman and Han and Giselle, and yeah, just how these people came together in Fast and Furious 5 when some were friends of Brian, some were friends of Dom, and how they came together and made friends or whatever. There's so much team and familyness, and this carried on into Fast and Furious 6. Teamness and family, I love it so much, so that was a huge plus for me. Another great thing is the amazing stunts, and at Fast and Furious 5, you can't... I wasn't entirely sure where they'd go from that. The thing with the tank in Spain was just crazy but amazing, and yeah, that was pretty awesome. The finale is the big thing on a plane. May have seen it from the trailers a bit. That was great in some respects, but that's also got a con. So I'll get onto that in a minute. The humour in these films. There's always been an element of humour throughout the entire series, but with Tyrese Gibson as Roman Pierce, he was just living. He's got just good comedic wit. Tyrese Gibson, I like him in other stuff as well, and he's just got good comedic timing and wit and can really play off other characters and actors really well. So any scene with him was brilliant, and him and Tej together was amazing. So there was a lot of callbacks to previous films, not just Fast and Furious 5 with the teaminess, but number 4 because of previous bad guys. I did not see that coming, and that was interesting. So there was a bit sort of, okay, who's who? That is the one problem with films, because there's so many characters and because it calls back to previous films, and if you have not seen those previous films for a while, it is sometimes a bit confusing remembering who these people are and what they did to who and that sort of thing. Overall plot was good, lot of plot and side plots, but I think it worked out well in the end. It was quite coherent. Another thing I really liked Pro was kick-ass women. Ugh, just so many great female characters in the series. And they've just grown throughout. They're so amazing. So now going on to my cons. One thing, like I mentioned before, this scene with the plane, I have never known a runway be that long in my life. They're trying to bring this plane down as it's trying to take off. And while I've never worked in an airport, I have been on my fair few planes in my life. The runways are not that big. This scene was good 15-20 minutes maybe, and this plane never managed to take off. And it was just still going on the runway trying to take off, and you're like, no, runways aren't that big. And I know it's that's sort of just a silly plot point thing, and things like that, I don't normally notice. So the fact I noticed it, I was like, this runway is very long. Another con, I like that it was partly set in London, but as someone who has lived quite close to London and visited London a fair few times over the last 3 years, who knows it kind of well-ish now. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but you know. I don't think they showed London as its best. Rio in Fast 5 looked amazing, But then again, I've not been to Rio, so a Rio native person is probably like, well, they didn't show the best, like I'm saying about London. The best film I've seen recently that's shown London to be its best and made the landscape and the city look amazing is Welcome to the Punch. London looked very stylish and amazing, whereas London looked a bit boring in Fast and Furious 6. Okay, so non-spoilery thing, I liked it. Some things I wish hadn't happened, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But I understand why they did happen. A lot more plot than I thought, but still amazing stunts, a lot of teaminess, and pretty damn good, and kept me interested. Good action-packed film that was pretty easy to follow if you have watched the previous films, but at the same time I think you probably could have got it without seeing them. But then again, this is part 6 of the franchise, so you probably know and reasonably like these characters by now. I think I give Fast and Furious 6 4 out of 5 because I did enjoy it a lot. But Fast 5, that's the top of the Fast and Furious franchise in my opinion, and it would have taken a lot for Fast and Furious 6 to beat it, and it didn't, in my opinion. It was still really good and so much better than like some of the previous Fast and Furious films, but still not fantastic. Okay, now on to spoilers, and this will also be spoilers for the entirety of the series. The biggest thing that upset me, but at the same time I understood. We finally looped round and got to Tokyo Drift and Han is dead. I love that guy so much, and even Tokyo Drift was the first film we've seen of him and he dies. So obviously you don't even have a full film with him and he's not even the main character, but I really like that character. And clearly somebody did in the film world of making Fast and Furious series, because they started putting in 4, 5 and 6 and kept going, oh yes, I'll go to Tokyo sometime soon. So you realise where it's at. But at the same time, I didn't want to get there. I know you had to get there at some time eventually, but I just didn't want it to happen. And at the same time, part of the reason I didn't want it to get there, I just loved his and Gazelle's relationship. I loved them separately as two different characters and with their own stories and things like that. But they're together, I don't know, they just work so well, and they were just really badass and amazing. And when Giselle died, I was just, she died saving Han, and it was just really upsetting. But he was so in love, and the scene with him and Roman chatting, and Roman's just taking the piss, but Han's so in love and you can see it on his face, and at the end they've got Letty back, and everything looks like it's going to be okay. Giselle's saying, yes, let's settle down, I want to be with you, and then they get in the car to save Mia because they're family. Some sort of small naive part of me was thinking, no, she's not going to be really dead, because that's the thing, I knew that something was going to have to happen between Han and Giselle for him to get to Tokyo, because they were so perfect, and obviously Giselle wasn't in Tokyo Drift, that they had to be separated somehow, and because they were getting on so well, the only thing that could separate them was death. So part of me, even before it happened, was thinking to myself, if ever Tokyo Drift's going to happen, they're not going to be together anymore, and that was just upsetting. To go to the post-credit scene, and then we kind of go and we're in Tokyo, and it's the scene of Han dying again, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this again after just seeing Giselle die, and but then something amazing happened, which I wasn't spoiled for, which I suppose is pretty amazing this day and age of internet. And then Jason Statham gets out of the car, and he has Letty's cross, and he phones Dom saying, you don't know who I am, but I'm coming for you. And I'm just like, what? And I adore Jason Statham. He is freaking amazing. And to have him suddenly turn up into this franchise, that's another thing. That's kind of like how The Rock suddenly turning up, well, in number 5, is going to do the same sort of thing again. It's going to be just, oh my god, what the hell is going on? This is amazing. So, while I'm still super sad that we have got back to Tokyo Drift, Giselle has died, Han is now dead and not going to be anymore, Jason Statham's turned up and looks like he's going to be a bad guy. That seems pretty amazing. I'm super excited for the next film, though I'm pretty shocked that it's supposed to be coming out next year. That is an amazing turnaround for a film. I am looking forward to the next one, especially considering who the big bad looks like it's going to be. That'll be interesting. So I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Let me know what you think of Fast and Furious 6, if you've seen it, what you think the next film's going to have in store, what you think of the whole entire franchise. Just let me know below, and do all the little more YouTubey things of liking and commenting and subscribing. Until next time.